All right. Sorry we're late, everyone. Welcome. We're live with Thursday nights with Mel and myself. Hello, Mel. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Just
Always
had,
good. I always look forward to our shows together.
me too. I really look forward to it. At the office today, our internet was down, and I don't know. I still think this retrograde Mercury is doing something because
We still have
communication.
some lingering effects, right?
Oh my God, whatever it is, I wish it would go away.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we just came out of Mercury retrograde. I luckily, did not have too many issues, but I heard everybody else had a lot of challenges with it.
Oh, it was brutal. And I'm trying to apply for my visas to go to Africa and one through Tanzania. They give you an like this long kind of um, application number, and it's
Hmm.
when I went on and I tried to verify my email address, it said file doesn't exist. So I called the embassy. Good luck getting through. And the guy said, "Oh, you're putting it in wrong." And I said, "I don't see how." So I tried it his way. Still didn't work. So
Of course
I
not,
got to
right?
wait till Monday to call the embassy again. It's like because they're closed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Anyway, well, it's just
Always,
a small stuff.
always fun, right?
It's a small stuff that gets you crazy.
Right.
I haven't
All
watched the
right.
news today, so I took a few notes, but I didn't get a lot of them, so I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
I had a few readings, so I didn't watch too much of it either. I know that Trump had his court case today.
I
But
heard he
besides
was
that, I
I
haven't
heard
heard
he
of
was
anything.
asleep in court.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he likes to take naps in court, and then criticize Joe Biden for being sleepy.
Well, what they call him, dozing Don? So how
I
can he
don't
call
know.
Sleepy Joe dozing Don? Hello.
I
Um,
feel like he's so worried with all the stress of it, he's not sleeping at night. He's up all night, like I kind of see him like pacing back and forth and pissed off and um just stewing. He can't sleep. So I guess the only time he can sleep is during the day.
well, I heard that the jurors heard a recording about Trump um, when he was talking to Cohen, I guess, about paying off a Playboy model. Um, and it said that he looked very irritated in court.
Hmm.
But it said the jurors, the exact words were set riveted listening to the recording. And I think that's a good sign for the prosecutors because if the jurors aren't looking at Trump and they're really paying attention to what's going on,
Hmm.
that's not a good sign for Donald.
Right. And I get too, like, just tapping in. I think he's really pissed off with his lawyer. I feel like he's about ready to fire him, and I don't know if you can do that in the middle of a trial, or I don't. Maybe he tries to do that to delay things. I don't think he'll be successful with that if
He
that's
won't
the
be
case.
successful. The judge will be no.
You're
If you
right,
bring another lawyer in, you bring them in now.
right.
Um,
That's what I'm kind of feeling. But I feel like he has some kind of rage episode when Cohen speaks, or he does something that Cohen really gets under his skin. And then I was also kind of getting the hit the other day that um, I feel like Hope Hicks' testimony is going to be pretty shocking because I feel like he really cares about her and he feels like backstabbed and betrayed. He's really upset about it.
well, he's already trying to turn against her. But um, you know, well, he's already now he just broke the gag order 4 more times, and I'm telling
Mhm.
you, this judge is not going to put up with any nonsense. My guys are telling me the next time that Trump keeps doing this, Judge Merchan is going to say, "Okay, obviously the fine isn't working.
Mhm.
Now I'm holding you in criminal contempt, which the judge has already done, and put Trump in jail." And
Yeah.
my guides tell me behind the scenes that I just talked about this with Arthur. I had problems uploading the video. I'll do it when we're done. But that the Secret Service has already made plans in case Trump is jailed, what they're going to do and how they're going to be there and all that stuff.
Well, do you think I don't see him actually going to a jail? I know that they have like a holding room or like
I
a
see.
cell in the courthouse or like maybe some kind of house arrest. And if they do that, it doesn't feel like it's substantial, but it's enough to kind of get him to shut up for a bit. Maybe he's in there for a day or two. It doesn't feel like I think he can only legally hold him and jail him for like 30 days, and I don't think it will be that long.
Well, but if he keeps it up, um, And then if he tries any shenanigans in the courtroom, they'll say, okay, you'll watch it by video.
Hmm.
And at some point, I think the judge is going to take the cameras out of the courthouse. I think the cameras in the hallway or something is saying, no, you'll have to take your cameras out on the street.
Mm. Yeah, I could see that. I
Uh,
don't know. It's gonna get to him for
can I just
sure.
put this up? I mean, I want to touch on this if I can. I'll let you read it.
Yelly Man, a CNN poll showed Trump up by 9 points. What the hell is going on? Well, we know how accurate the polls have been lately, right?
Well, you can't go with polls
Right.
because they change. But and if what's going on in a lot of states that with seats that were traditionally Republican are now turning Democrat, that's a bellwether of Trump's chances. And I think they're slimming down. A lot of people aren't going to vote for Trump that would have normally
Mhm.
voted for him. And here again, this is May. We've got the whole month of May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months. A lot can happen in 6 months.
I feel a lot of momentum, and really kind of building up Biden's campaign this summer. Like it feels very huge with that. And I'll just say for everybody worried about the polls, we know how the last few elections have went. The polls so that we were going to have a giant red wave in 2022. Pink trickle, as Mel says.
It's a pink trickle. It's
Abortion got people out in Ohio to not ban it. Like I got Andy Bashir in Kentucky. We just saw a state congressional race in Alabama that went blue, and it was like I think like 10 or 15 points Republican. And then I think what just yesterday, no Tuesday, in New York, it was a blue district. But Democrats outperformed their margins from the last election by like 14, 15 points. So I'm not worried about the polls. I'm
I'm
really
not
not. They're
either.
not very accurate.
And I would just be if he's up 9 points over Biden or just up 9 points, because up 9 points doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
It doesn't really, Yelly Man doesn't really say if he's up 9 points over Biden. So
I'm gonna post this up because I just have a comment because I saw a very funny video. Aries says, "Did you see Boebert trying to rip a Palestinian flag down at a protest? She's performing in hopes it will help her campaign. She looked silly." Yeah, and the protesters were chanting Beetlejuice at her. You know how uncomfortable that was for her. It was
um,
hilarious.
I was just going to say, as she was getting groped, was she trying to pull the flag down?
Hmm.
She's not going to get reelected. I'm telling you. I think people have had it with her.
Yeah,
I
I
know
don't
she'll
see
get
her getting
reelected.
reelected.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene better watch her P's and Q's too.
I've always felt MTG getting reelected, but then she starts to get some trouble for her involvement in the insurrection, and she'll have to leave, I think, before her term's up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, um, I think people are tired of the bully pulpits, and my feeling is Hunter Biden's going to sue her as well, and Hunter
Mm,
Biden's going to win. If she's smart, she'll settle it out of court, but she'll just keep opening her mouth, and at some point during that lawsuit, you mark my words, the judge will hold her in contempt.
yeah, absolutely.
I think she's
All right.
helping people pick her as a running mate, but
It's
if you
not going to happen. It's not
it's
going
not
to
going
happen.
to happen. Well, just like Noam shooting a dog in the.
Mhm.
And what I'm telling people to do with that, don't buy her book. Take that same money and donate it to the Humane Society.
Right. That's a good advice there, Mel. Yeah, it's disgusting. And the thing is that I actually felt like she was probably a top contender for the VP pick until she put that in her book. And then she's doubling down um like it makes her strong, hurting a helpless animal because she wouldn't train it, and then what killed a goat and three horses or something like that. But it
Killed the
makes
goat
her
because it
tough.
was old and smelly or something, and it was
Yeah,
headbutting. Well, that's what goats do, you know.
right.
I mean,
It's
and then three
disgusting.
horses. Come on. And then she equated that to, well, there's hard decisions to be made on the farm. And just like I made hard decisions on the farm, I make hard decisions politically with what's good for my constituents or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, how can you say that you're making like the decision to murder an innocent dog with a shotgun and kill a goat because it's just old and smelly and three horses because they're old? How can you possibly equate that to being a good politician and doing good things for your constituents?
Mm-hmm.
They just don't match.
It doesn't make any sense. Like I
None.
said, it's like her tough stance and, her being pro-gun, she thinks gonna, um, you know, make people excited to vote for it. No, we remember how Dr. Oz's Senate campaign um, died out, fizzled out when it all came out about him testing on puppies.
Oh,
She's
right.
heartless and cruel. That's what it. That's she's showing who she is.
You mean Dr. Snake Oil, Dr. Oz? I call it
Hmm.
Snake Oil. Um, um, it just made her look horrible. But the thing that concerns me is those outlandish kind of things that some of these politicians talk about. And it becomes so outlandish and they just keep saying it over and over again and then trying to normalize it and then trying to justify it and using that, murdering a dog and innocent animals for her own political gain to try to make herself look like that she's a responsible politician. I'm sorry. I see an end to those sorts of uh, shock value politics like Trump does.
Hmm.
I mean,
People are tired of it.
yeah, they're trying, pretty soon things get normalized and
Hmm.
there's nothing normal about it. So I see at some point this country will bring abnormal back to abnormal,
Right.
not normalize it. That's what my
Yeah. Well,
guy.
she just threw in her VP chance. So there you go.
Well, you know what? I would like to everybody to maybe just put a collection together and take an ad out in the front page of her local newspaper, and just put, do you want to vote for for somebody who kills innocent animals?
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm,
I,
I don't see
I
I
don't know.
see people
I
doing that.
see her career being ended after this, and I don't know if she leaves early or she finishes out her term. But when I was reading on her the other day too, and I felt like a sex scandal coming out about her was the cards I got. So there's some kind of big scandal coming up. It doesn't feel like it's this year; it's probably next year. But if that doesn't take her out, her career's over after her governor terms up.
That's what I feel too.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Wonder how she would. Wonder if what would happen if her kids really made her angry. It sounds to me like she's got anger control issues. And if why number one would she allow the dog to kill chickens? If it was killing chickens, she should have gotten the dog. That's number one.
Hmm.
And number two, she said when she grabbed the dog by the collar, it turned around to bite her. Well, yeah, if you're hurting a dog, which she was doing clearly, that dog
Right.
is going to try to protect itself.
Well, she even said she hated the dog.
Yeah, she did. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, then rehome the dog.
Exactly.
Um, and how did she explain the goat? Oh, because it was smelly and it was nasty and it tried to headbutt my kids. Well, it's a goat. What did you expect? Very simple.
Hmm.
Don't let your kids near the goat or rehome the
Right.
goat.
Right. I
And how
don't know.
about and
Good
how
mouth.
about and how about the horses?
Yeah.
I don't know. Terrible. Terrible.
Is there anything going on in the news lately that you want to talk about before we get? I only have a couple questions start, so
I'm starring them as I go.
yeah, I've been trying to.
Um,
We
you
don't
know,
really do a lot of pop cultural stuff, so we're going to focus mostly on current events and political stuff, you guys.
uh, I'm just thinking. Yeoman says Trump is leading Biden. I haven't heard that. Um, but Earth Mama said there was a huge win in Alabama. So
Well, right, exactly. I'm not worried about it. If I was worried about it, I know that there's a lot going on and it's easy to kind of go to the worst case scenarios or watch the news all day and go in that downward spiral. But if I felt worried about it, I would let you guys know. But I don't see Trump as president again. So it's all
I
going to
don't
be good.
either. I just don't. Um,
Hmm.
All right. I'm just starring as we go here, Kevin.
Yep, I have some questions start already.
All right.
Um,
Go ahead.
Mountain Dancer wants to talk about Alito. Will he ever be held accountable for his undemocratic ways?
Well, he's already saying something about revisiting gay marriage, and
Hmm.
they need to leave it. So how are they going to unmarry us? I mean, what are they going to do? Say we're not married anymore?
Right.
I don't think that's going to fly, to be honest with you. And I see gay marriage at some point codified, just marriage codified,
Hmm.
two consenting adults. Um,
I see him being investigated, and it probably has to do with billionaires paying him off, and um, his dark connections with them. But I see investigations, and I don't know if it leads to him being removed. I don't know if I feel him leaving just yet, but I do see some trouble with investigations for him.
my guides have shown me that the two justices will be impeached.
Hmm.
Impeach means to bring to trial. Um, they draft the articles of impeachment in the House, and then it goes to the Senate. And I don't know. I do see before they're removed from office, one will resign, and I see one removed from office. If they were smart, they would resign before that occurred. My guides showed me that there's going to be some law clerks that'll come forward and say that, and this is for entertainment purposes only, that Trump's attorneys got to or went to a couple, two or three Supreme Court justices before this case was even argued. When they were just talking about should the Supreme Court take it,
Yeah.
and unduly influence the justices. That's going to come out, and that's grounds to get them impeached. So
Somebody just asked that question too, and I was going to say I agree with that. I do feel like um, you said you think it was his lawyers that talked to the justices, or do you
absolutely.
think it was somebody else?
Well, it was his lawyers or his lawyers' cronies, but it is
Right.
come out. Um,
Well, maybe that's that big investigation that I'm feeling with it too.
I probably think you're right. So I see there's going to be legislation passed that keep these that keep these justices from being bought off
Hmm.
by people and companies who want to influence legislation for their own benefit. And I see legislation being passed where they can no longer take any kind of gifts or payoffs. Uh,
Yeah. Well, as a result of all the corruption, and we both, I think, said this, like 2025, 2026, I really see them getting in there and adding rules and regulations to the Supreme Court, but also into the Congress and Senate. I feel eventually they're going to do term limits in the Supreme Court is what I'm picking up. But yeah, they're going to, if they have a conflict of interest, they're going to have to recuse themselves from those cases, right? If they can't take donations from billionaires and all of that, or accept gifts. I see a lot of rules and regulations being put in place as a result.
I see term limits as well.
I don't know if I feel like they expand the Supreme Court, but I definitely feel um, a lot of threats and a lot of talk about it in the next year or two.
Um, Me too. I mean, I see more justices, and I see the
Mhm.
court coming back to the middle of the road and not playing the tribalism or the partisan politics. Um, and the thing that got me about that whole immunity case was, I think it was Kavanaugh who said, "Well, we don't want to hear the facts. We just want to talk about future presidents." Excuse
Right,
me. Your job is to hear the case argued based on the facts of the case, the merits of the case. He was supposed to be a textualist and follow the Constitution to the text. Those justices that said they do that, what hypocrisy. That idea
right.
went right out the window. They did it
Well, we all
because,
know why they did it.
of course.
Hmm.
That's right.
Aries says we need term limits in the Congress and Senate too. I see term limits eventually, but I think it's a while off still. Maybe like 10 or 12 years. Oh yeah, I'm loving this. Rebecca says, laugh out loud. Mr. Shits in his pants is now part of the court records. Did you hear about that? It was
No.
Cohen's testimony. I think it was that video, or I don't know. He called, that's how he was referring to to Trump, Mr. Shits in his pants, and they played a sound bite of that, so it's in the court records now.
I love it.
Oh, well, and no, it was about the his I think his lawyer, when they were talking about the gag order because he keeps attacking Cohen, um, said that what Trump can't respond when witnesses are saying, Mr. Shits in his pants, referring to Cohen. That's how it got in there, I believe. I'm confusing the two, but that was hilarious. Michael Cohen is really cracks me up.
Well, I think when he's testifying, Trump is going to make a total
I
a
think so
total
too.
ass of himself. And if Trump acts up in court, then the judge doesn't have to hold a hearing on what occurred outside of the court. The judge can hold him right there in contempt if it's something he does in the courtroom. And Trump is going to do that. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
John is not going to put up with this nonsense. Trump's lawyers. I see Trump the other day talking, and he turned over. He looked at his lawyer and said, "Isn't that right?" or whatever he said. And the lawyer just kind of shook his head. I got a
Mhm.
funny feeling like Trump is going to try to get rid of this lawyer, or and then bring somebody else in. But it won't delay the case. The court's going to say, nope, you know what? We're not delaying this case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier too. I don't see it. I think he'll try it, but I think his lawyer's getting really fed up with Trump too.
Oh, he is.
Mhm.
It's I heard it's not Glenn Kirshner, but the younger guy who does a podcast along with Glenn Kirshner. I can't think of his name, but anyway, he said that who or wasn't Pop Up, I forget, but it's like who's trying this case, or who's Trump's defense, his lawyers or Trump? Trump is telling his lawyers what to do play by play, and
Mhm.
Trump is really just screwing himself.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the Republicans now only have a one-seat majority in the House. Do you see speaker change soon? And I guess MTG did say that she's going to push through her motion to vacate next week. I
She
feel like
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, I feel like I've always felt Johnson out, but I do feel like Democrats might save him this time, but they won't save him next time.
I think if she tries to the motion to have him unseated or whatever, she's only going to have a small group of followers, and she's
Yeah,
not
it doesn't
going to
feel
have enough
big.
to do it. Um, in fact, the Dems would end up saying, "Uh-uh," because right now they know. I don't like Johnson at all, but
Mhm.
at least he, had a pang of morality and said, "Okay, we have to give this money to Ukraine to help them. Otherwise, we've got to stop. We've got to stop Putin."
Mhm.
And so Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she likes Putin that much, should go live with him over there.
Right.
He wouldn't put up with her for a nanosecond. But I don't see him ousted just yet.
Not yet. Yeah,
But
I
what I
agree.
do see is another Republican leaving. I see somebody leaving. So then if they've only got a one seat lead now and somebody leaves, that makes it even Steven. So what happens then? I don't know how that works.
Mhm. I feel like there's still a couple. I'm feeling like there's 3 more Republicans leaving.
So do I. So do
But
I.
the thing is you have to think a lot of the reason why the margin's so close is because they have to have special elections. So we're gonna see some pretty red districts have special elections here soon too. So
But
they're
some
gonna
of those
gain.
but some of those would even go Democrat, as we've seen in the past when the polls were saying, "Oh, it's going to be these districts that were red are going to be taken over by Republicans." The Democrats won
Mhm.
because they're because the women and people are hopping mad about Roe v. Wade. They're hopping mad about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I do see before the term is over, the Democrats taking a lead in the House.
Yeah.
And then at
I
some
agree.
point, I'll see Jeffries as being speaker. And at some point, Marjorie Taylor Greene would make a motion to unseat him. But you know what? She'd have Republicans on her side, but they'd never get enough votes to do it.
I almost feel like some of the Republicans in the House are so fed up with MTG and all of the MAGAs that a few of them would vote for Jeffries just so that there's some sanity and something gets done. That's
Well,
my feeling.
I heard one Republican House member say that, that uh, what's going on in the Republican Party is, he didn't say it's a disgrace, I'm paraphrasing, is horrible, and that, all they really need to, they're elected to govern, and that's what they wanted to do, but they're being stopped by this small group of people, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who don't want them to govern. And that's
Hmm.
correct. Um, here's I don't know if I can put this up. Aries Fry gave you a sticker, 1999.
Click on it.
Oh, there
I
you
like it. Thank you, Ari.
go. Yep. So anyway, and the guy was saying that, they were talking about like the aid to Ukraine, and he
Hmm.
was just really mad about it. And Kevin, you had said that that party would implode, and that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I see a Republican Party coming back that's going to place an emphasis on individual rights, because they say they're all for individual rights, but they're not. I mean, Trump says he wants to be an authoritarian for a day. Hello, that's not individual rights. Um,
Hmm. Well, we know it'd be longer than a day, right?
yeah, right. He'd try to overturn everything. But I see the Republican Party, back to individual rights and those sorts of things.
Hmm.
But at some point there will be an end to the MAGAs. But I also see another political party coming into the fray. It's going to be more like a progressive workers party, that's going to give everybody else some real competition as well.
Hmm. Well, we're seeing the Republican Party fracture, will implode. It's really imploding. I see something similar, but on a smaller scale on the Democratic side too. Doesn't feel like it's this year. It feels like it's maybe by the next election. Um, but I agree. I feel like there's multiple parties in the going future, like three and then four um, political parties of significance.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Colleen wants us to look. She wants to know if President Biden's safe with his security. I have a feeling that there's a mole.
He's safe. I do think
Yeah,
he's.
I think he's. No, I'm not saying that there aren't some you know, um, Secret Service agents that still aren't, connected to Trump and all of that too. But I think his close detail feels safe to me.
That's what I see.
Mhm. All right.
My rocking chair is squeaking.
All
I'm
right. We got
trying
some good
to
questions here.
long.
Well, we kind of touched this, but is Trump's lawyer Blanche about fed up with Trump?
Not quite. That's what I heard. Not quite.
Not quite. He's getting irritated though.
I could tell by the look on his face that he was irritated, but I don't think he's fed up with them just yet.
Hmm. All right. Elaine says student protests pushed by foreign agitators. What will calm the waters? How can Biden respond?
Biden
I
did
do.
respond today. I heard
Yeah,
it.
he did.
And I liked his response. Basically, he said that we have a right to peaceful protest, but we don't have a right to disrupt and destroy. And I agree
Hmm.
with him on that. But some of those, we say student protest, I don't think they were the ones that got violent, because some of the students here in Illinois, in one of the in a couple of universities, other
Hmm.
places, they came to terms with the school administration, um, on some of the students' demands, and they struck a bargain. And so I'm thinking that where there was violence, that it wasn't the protesters that did it. I think it was agitators that were brought
Yep,
in to create.
exactly.
That's what I see psychically.
Yeah, I said the same thing on my show on Tuesday. I do feel like there are some foreign agitators, and it's very similar to when we saw all of the rioting and looting when Trump was president. What they call them, Antifa or something like that. I do feel like some of them have kind of um, joined the protests too, because it feels like there's two groups. There's one that's um, the students that are actually peacefully protesting and sharing their truth and standing up for what they believe in, which is really honorable. But then there's some people involved with it that just want to cause chaos and destruction and just want to kind of rebel.
Well, I think that, some of those agitators um, are from Iran and Putin indirectly because they want to create, they want to make the protesters look bad because they want to make Biden look bad. But, a lot of the students that are protesting, um, Biden is not going to lose their vote because I can tell you right now, those students are not going to vote for Trump. You can take to the bank.
I see a lot of things turning around this summer.
So do I.
Yeah. Cece says the NYPD and Columbia leader said it was an outside agitators that broke into that hall at Columbia. Media already reported that. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Cece.
What did it say? Outside agitators? Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
That's true. And that's going to come out that these agitators were put in place by somebody. And I think they were put in place by a lot of the MAGAs in order to create chaos and make it look like the protesters are creating the violence when really they're not.
I feel like some foreign, I don't know if it's Russia or China, but I feel like there's some foreign funds in getting it going too.
Oh,
Foreign connection
absolutely.
there. All right. Did we read on this? We kind of, I think, touched about it. Um, Question is,
Yeah.
you see the Supreme Court ethic guidelines. I don't know if it's 2025. It might be end of 2025, early 2026. And I don't know if term limits are coming in quite yet, but I feel them coming in sooner, and then term limits coming in like the next decade or 15 years
Well,
for
you
the
need a
House
huge
and Senate.
majority, I think 2/3 to change a law to
They're
ratify.
going to get rid of the filibuster, but I don't know if that's what's needed. Well, it would be a constitutional change, so it very well might need two
So it would
thirds.
take a lot, but I do see term limits, but I also see laws being passed and people talking about laws being
Mhm.
passed and going actually through, and president our senators and House members putting together a draft that would go through the House and pass in the Senate, and the president would sign it to say that that the justices cannot take any kind of money or any kind of gifts or anything like that from from an individual or companies,
Mhm.
they just can't do it whatsoever. And if they do, and they find out, then they would be open to criminal prosecution because they're
Yeah.
not above the law. Nobody is.
Connie says, will Trump be sequestered for the time of the trial? For the time of the trial due to
If he
gag order
keeps it up,
violation.
and somebody put in the comments that he said today, oh, he can't talk about the trial because he's under a gag order. When did that stop him? He's going to keep opening his mouth. And at some point, sequestered is a good term. I do see him sequestered. Yes.
Mm, yeah, I agree.
It kind of is now. The judge, Trump says, they won't let me out. I can't campaign. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, you're off on Wednesdays. Why can't you be on the campaign trail on Wednesdays?
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
can't
we all
go
know
to
it's a grift,
graduation.
right?
Judge Merchan's never said that Trump couldn't go to his son's graduation.
No, he just said that he could. They have court off that day.
I rest my case.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump can't use that. But let's see if Trump goes. I'll be surprised.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty sad that he would throw his own son under a bus. He didn't go to his other kids' graduations. Why start with this one?
Right. Do you see Donald Trump making it to the convention in July?
I don't know.
I don't
Because
know either.
what I think is that the Supreme Court is going to remand the immunity case down to the lower court, down to Judge Chutkan, and then she's going to have to hear all these arguments all over again. What is presidential? What isn't? And then, once again, they'll decide, they'll start the trial. Trump will appeal. It'll go to the Supreme Court again, which doesn't meet until October. And the Supreme Court will delay their decision for 2 or 3 months after the election. And then that's when the trial will start, the federal one. But I do see the state of Georgia. I'm telling you, I see him into another trial before the election.
Well, I think Mimi's asking, is Trump going to still be around, or is he going to be a vegetable come the convention in July?
I feel like he'll still be around.
I see a health challenge happening for him
So
this
do
summer,
I.
though.
I've
And
been
I don't know if it's before or after the convention, and maybe it's right before it, but it's not quite as public, because I do feel I don't know. I just feel chaos with it, to be honest with you. I can't tell for sure.
so
I
do I.
guess that's, if he, is on top of his health and gets it looked at, maybe it prolongs it a little bit, or, you know.
Um, I see him there, but it's weird. And the only way he wouldn't be there unless he's really sick. But if he's on trial in another state, there you go. And
Mhm,
I'll tell you something else I see is that Eileen Cannon, with her directions to a jury, there's no way then Trump can be convicted with her directions to a jury who hasn't been selected yet.
mhm,
But I see Jack Smith. There's a word, and I forget what it is. Um, Going to the 11th Circuit, and I forget what the term is. There's a legal term, and it's really not good for a judge to have to face that. And I think Jack Smith is going to go to the 11th Circuit Court, and if she continues on the same path, then I see the 11th Circuit Court will remove her, and I don't
mhm.
think she could appeal that and replace her with another judge. That's what I see coming. I mean, she's not, her career is shot after this.
Yeah, I agree. I've always felt her off the case too.
And I also see people coming forward saying that there could be clerks of hers or whatever that are going to say that and bring it to public attention that she was doing things behind the scenes she shouldn't have been doing on this case to favor Trump. That's
Oh,
going to come to the
absolutely.
public.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how they get I don't know if they impeach her or what happens, but I see her off the bench.
I see the court removing her off the case.
I do too, but I see her off the bench completely, so she can't be a judge.
Mhm. All right. Do you see Putin fleeing Moscow?
Mm, I think Putin will probably be there till the bitter end, and who would want him? uh,
Mhm.
but I see him being taken out by the Russian people, and I'm not going to say how they're going to take him out. I already kind of know, but they will take him out.
I don't know if his own health challenges take him out first, or I put it on my 2024 predictions. I feel massive protests worldwide, but an uprising in Russia. So if he's still alive, because I still feel like he's very sick and very weak. Um, I don't know if it's a protest, if they kind of remove him, overthrow his regime, or if the health takes him out first.
Well, I see a lot of people protesting in Russia, and I understand now when they do, they take their picture and they, kind
Hmm.
of pick on people. But the when Navalny died, behind the scenes, I think Navalny's widow, and I think what they did is it made a martyr of Navalny, and I think that is the spark that's really going to ignite a revolution in Russia and getting rid of Putin. I mean, I see a lot of people marching in the streets and protesting, and I
Yeah,
see Putin gone.
yeah, me too. Um, have you read on if Netanyahu will be made to step down? I feel like they're going to have another election and it's going to force him out.
Well, he's going to try to stop that, but he won't succeed.
Hmm.
Um, and I see him. Um, I see like a world court, and I've said this
Hmm.
before, um, saying that he's guilty of war crimes,
Yep,
and
I
him
agree.
and three others in his cabinet. And he's not. I think it's the International Criminal Court, and he's not going to want that to happen. But I see it happening. I don't know. I don't know how they can enforce it, but I see
Right.
him being found guilty in the court for for what he's doing in Gaza.
I almost feel like Netanyahu's not going to be in there for much longer. To me, it
That's
almost
what I
feels like
see.
August or September he's out, which is only a few months away.
I don't know if it's that quickly, but I see him gone,
Yeah.
and I see him on trial even in Israel or somewhere, for crimes he's committed.
Yeah, they're
So,
already talking about it.
yep, that's what I see. So,
Mhm. All right. Jolene wants to know, will the hostages be released soon and how many are still alive? I've said it since the beginning of it. I did not have a very good feeling about the hostages. I don't feel like there is a lot left. And I hope I'm wrong with that, but uh, you know,
I heard this morning or this afternoon that they agreed to release Hamas agreed to release like 25 hostages, uh, if and for a ceasefire. But Netanyahu said he's going to go ahead and go into, I can't think of the name of the city in Gaza.
Rafa.
Yeah, when he really shouldn't. But I do see hostages released. Yes.
Yeah, I do feel like there's some more. And actually that's actually like the number that I came to me was probably around 25, 30 hostages still being alive. I don't know how many they're saying that they still have. Um, but that's kind of what came to my mind first.
I want to say hi to Jeffrey Stein. He's in the chat. Jeffrey's going on May the 10th for a lesion that's cancerous on his tongue. They're going to have to remove that lesion. So, and I bring this up on my shows because I'm a survivor of oral pharyngeal cancer. So everybody send healing to Jeff.
Absolutely. Okay. What do your guides say about RFK Jr.'s campaign? His VP hasn't been seen in public since saying vaccines cause autism. I hadn't
It's,
heard that.
oh yeah, there's no. By the way, and people that say that there's absolutely no scientific proof
Hmm.
that vaccines cause autism. It's a bunch of bull pucky, if you ask me about it. Um, People are worried that he'll take votes away from Biden. I think he'll take votes away from Trump. But
Yep, I agree.
after this, he's not going to go very far. But I tell you what, I do see. At some point, I see another Kennedy, not RFK Jr., but another Kennedy who has honor, integrity, and sincerity that's going to run for president. And I see another Kennedy as president, just not RFK Jr.
Hmm. Well, I can't think of his name. I think was in Congress or he's in Congress. Um, one of the Kennedys. I'm sure
Right.
somebody in the chat will know. And he's still kind of young too, so I don't know if I feel it right yet, but maybe eventually.
But I see at some point that one that we're talking about will be a president.
Yeah, he's redheaded and young. Yeah, Hilda.
But RFK's own family doesn't agree with his politics. So there you have it.
Yeah, I don't. Well, and I saw something on CNN where they were talking to RFK Jr.'s voters, um, and they had asked, I think there was like 6 or 7 of them, if RFK Jr. wasn't in the race, who would you vote for? And 6 out of the 7 so that they'd vote for Trump. That right there tells you that they're Trump voters.
Right.
I mean, too conspiracy theory, and I see Democrats really kind of seeing the true him, and it's like he doesn't really appeal to Democrats. He appeals to the MAGAs.
And to conspiracy theorists.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you're right. 6 out of 7, they were probably Trump voters anyway. So you really
Yeah,
have to figure
exactly.
out who you're polling and what their political stance. Wiki says the guy's name I was trying to think of was Brian Tyler Cohen. He's got a really interesting channel.
Mm. All right. What do we see for Beto? Do we see Beto running for office again?
I do, and I always see Beto in a high level government position. So,
Hmm.
hi, Kathy, how are you? So, we haven't heard the end of Beto yet. He's working real hard behind the scenes. And I think when Abbott is finally out of office and Paxton gets indicted and convicted, I think Beto's going to be dancing in the streets. um,
I've always felt I feel like he might get a cabinet position too, and I don't know if this is in Biden's second term or if it's the next administration. But at some point too, my guides always told me he's destined to be a senator, and I see that for him in Texas.
That's what I see too. I see a high level government position. So
Mhm. I have no idea who would be next in line to replace Netanyahu. I know nothing about their politics.
what I do see at some point in Israel, a lot sooner than later, once Netanyahu's gone, there might be a temporary replacement, and then somebody after that will be incredibly good. I see another woman who's going to be
Mhm.
uh, who's going to be uh, the head of Israel, and it's going to be somebody who promotes peace, but would put up with no nonsense.
Mhm.
So if somebody tried to attack Israel, she would be really tough on that, but would promote peace in the Middle East and promote peace talks, and would even be open to having two separate states, Israel and
Right.
Palestine. Uh, and I see at some point a peaceful coexistence between Israel and Palestine. I do. I see Palestine getting its independence, but I see another. I don't know if they call him premier, um, but I see a female in power.
Mhm. I agree with you. When I've read on it, I've always felt a woman kind of coming up into prominence, and that would be crucial in the two state solution. But I didn't know if she's actually prime minister or if she's just somebody that leads the way for it. But I agree with you, Mel. I feel a strong woman energy coming in too.
Hold on, let me just check something. I'm just googling something real quick.
Yeah, I think it's Joe Kennedy is who we were talking about.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to think of prime minister. I see a prime minister in Israel. That's a
Hmm.
female.
Okay. Well, and maybe it's the same person too, because I feel a very prominent woman kind of coming
So do I.
and really helping with that. Yeah. All right. Do you see issues settled by the Supreme Court with the dark money reopened? I said I feel like even before the election, dark money channels being exposed. I mean, you have was it Leonard Leo and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're going to have to testify. They're going to be investigated. This story's going to get a lot bigger, so it's going to be reopened absolutely.
Um, I see, yeah, that dark money being exposed.
Hmm.
Absolutely. But, I see with a new court coming that Roe v. Wade is upheld, a lot of things that this court, like affirmative action, has just threw by the wayside, I see coming back into law, coming back into being. So, but I do see issues where these guys got payola or undue influence. Yes, I see that all coming
Hmm.
public. But I think
Yeah,
that we have to have another Supreme Court action to undo what these people did, these justices did because of dark money.
oh, this is a good one. V Press says Susan Mukarsk, Mukarskil Powell, I probably butchered that, is running against Rick Scott in Florida for the Senate. She's been gaining on him and is only a few points down. What do you think of her beating Rick Scott? I've answered this before, but if you want to, what do you pick up with her, Mel?
I think if she really gets out there and knocks on doors and campaigns, she can beat them.
Hmm. Yeah, and I've always said I feel my guides told me Democrats will turn 2 to 4 red seats blue, and I do feel like Florida is one of those seats where it's possible.
There's going to be a huge upset in Florida because, people are thinking that certain seats Republicans are going to win, Democrats will,
Hmm.
provided they count the votes right.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
But to Satan, I think he's trying to suck up to Trump to be maybe Trump's vice president. But I think Trump would just use to Satan. But I see to Satan gone as governor of Florida. Well, he can't
I
run as
read on that on Tuesday, and it was DeSantis is the one that scheduled the meeting, and it was to kind of kiss the ring and because he would want to be VP. But I felt a very strong no. Trump is not interested in DeSantis being his VP. It's not going to happen.
not going to happen.
All right. Will Biden replace the SCOTUS, if any, will any female with any female justices? I do feel another female justice coming in.
I see 2 more female justices on the court.
I don't know if the next I no, actually, I do think the next one's a female. I feel a male coming in too, um, but yeah, I do feel a female.
I see 2 more females on the court,
Mhm,
and they're not gonna be like Amy Coney Barrett. I think politically, they're pretty much middle of the road or moderate, and they'll decide a case based on I think a really good judge decides a case based on the merit of the case and the way it's argued, um, and not based on their own, personal or political beliefs. And
mhm,
I don't think that Kavanaugh or Gorsuch or Alito, even Roberts, can divorce themselves from their own
mhm.
political beliefs. I think a judge has got to be impartial, and they haven't learned that lesson, and that's kind of frightening, knowing that they're on the highest court of the land.
I
But
see them making it a priority to get politics out of the Supreme Court, though.
so do I.
Mhm,
Absolutely, that's where I'm going with this.
mhm,
Uh, like I said, a good judge will, make their decision based on the facts of the case and the merits of the case and how it's argued in front of them, and their interpretation of the Constitution. They
yeah,
don't get to bastardize the Constitution and wrap it around their own political or personal belief.
mhm. Ness keeps asking. I don't do pop culture stuff really, but she wants us to read on Britney Spears. I don't really think it's good taste. I think she should have her privacy because I mean, she has some mental health issues that she's got to get worked out. I
I
don't
don't
think it's very nice to kind of focus in on what's going on with her.
I didn't see the question, so I don't know.
Well, they just want us to read on Britney, and
I
I
don't
don't
like
feel
to do that. I don't like to read on celebrities because I think it's I don't like to kind of um, I mean, their privacy is their privacy,
Mhm.
and I don't like to invade their privacy.
Exactly. And she's going through challenges. I mean, it's very sad, her story and everything that's happened to her. Um, but
I wonder how many of us could survive what she has survived.
exactly.
So I do have the utmost empathy for her.
Absolutely. All right. Uh, will more folks actually learn about and participate in government after the election?
No, but
I
I
feel a lot
think
more women coming into office, and I think that that's been a trend that's happening. But it really feels like I feel like not too far out in the future, it's going to almost be like the half of the House is, or almost half of the House is female.
I feel like I think you're right. I feel that too. A lot more women, not like Noam, by the way, uh,
Right.
but women who are fair-minded. Um, I do think that there'll be some folks that'll really want to learn more about civics. Um, but what I do see, for a while in this country, like when Clinton was president, and then after that, there was so much voter apathy going on. There was a lot of it.
Hmm.
And Sherry, Voices from the Swamp, just said that happened in Louisiana. People just didn't go vote because they thought, that a Democrat would be a shoe-in, and this goofy governor down there won.
Hmm.
So I think what'll happen is we're going to see um, an end to voter apathy, that people will get out and vote. Uh,
Yeah,
and for these new Jim Crow laws and those politicians trying to restrict our rights to vote and gerrymandering, they're not going to succeed, because I see strong laws coming to limit gerrymandering as well. Um,
absolutely. Like
and
the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, where it makes it fair to get gerrymandering out. I see a lot of election reform too.
right. Oh, motion to vacate the chair. Thanks, Wiki. I have senior moments. I think, what's that called?
Yeah. Abortion is also on the ballot, literally in Florida. Yeah, it's going to make a difference. Like I said, I don't know if it's enough to turn it blue for the president, but I think it's going to be very close. It's going to be very competitive.
Well, abortion in Florida on the ballot, people are gonna vote that
Hmm.
they do want legalized abortion in Florida.
Absolutely.
I can't even believe we're having this discussion, you
I
know?
know, isn't it crazy?
I mean, wow.
Yeah. Florida's going to be very close. I always just worry about, all of their corruption. I worry about it with Texas too, but my guides kind of tell me that Texas isn't going to be able to get away with what they've done in the past.
Garden Chicken just said, Bo just talked about why Dem saved Johnson this time. So that's what we were talking about earlier. So that's why I put that up there.
Yeah. Cat says an Asian woman and an LGBTQ justice. I do feel an LGBTQ justice. If maybe that's the male energy that I'm picking up on.
I said that earlier tonight. I did a show with Arthur when I tried to upload it. For some reason, I had problem uploading it on YouTube. But I said I see a gay Supreme Court justice at some point. Somebody asked if they would be trans. I don't think trans, but I think
it feels like a gay man.
But right, exactly. But I feel male.
Mm-hmm.
And I see an Asian woman as well.
Yeah. Hilda says, will Texas Democratic Texans get better at voting because turnout is low? I feel like high turnout in Texas, and I feel like that I see it purple in this race.
I see a huge turnout in Texas, a huge turnout in Georgia, a huge turnout in a lot of the southern states. So,
yeah, I don't know. I don't have the best feeling about Georgia, but I feel like Biden's going to keep all of his states. Maybe if he were to lose one, it would be Georgia, but he's going to gain in North Carolina too. But I feel like Ted Cruz is going to be out in Texas, so maybe that's why they're showing me purple.
I see Ted Cruz gone as well. You mean the Billy Goat?
The Billy Goat, yeah.
Oh, don't let Noam hear about that. He might end up in the gravel pit with all the other animals she put down.
All right. Let's do one or two more questions. Do you get an idea of when the genocide will stop in Palestine? I think it's going to go on a little bit longer. I do feel like some of the fighting stopping when Netanyahu is out, but it's going to take them so long to rebuild and to get that area stabilized.
I probably think by July or August, all of it'll be over.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna create it's already a humanitarian crisis, but I see it over by probably around July.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I said, I was feeling like August or September. So, but I guess we'll see. Timing's not always the easiest to pinpoint, but it doesn't feel like it's too much longer.
Right.
I don't remember exactly what the 2025 project is. I've read on it before, and I don't feel that turning into fruition.
I don't know what it is, so
I think it's like a Republican plan to like get all the red states to change constitutions or something along the lines of that. But I've read on it before. It doesn't. It like fizzles out. It doesn't turn into anything.
That's what I think too. I mean, I'm just feeling a nothing with it. As Linda Grindle was saying, nothing burger.
Somebody in the chat clarify about what it is, just so I can look again. But yeah, nothing burger, like Linda would say.
Yeah, nothing burger.
All right. Michelle wants to know, are these protests going to affect Biden in the election? They say it's dividing Dems.
I don't think so. I mean, because here again, we said this earlier. I mean, there's 6 months between now and the election. A lot can happen in 6 months. So, I can tell you right now, those protesters aren't going to vote for Trump. Was if they don't vote, not voting is a vote for Trump. So
the thing is, though, even if, and I don't feel like everybody is going to change their mind. I do see it affecting with some voters, but I feel like the turnout and the extra people that come out to vote that normally don't vote is going to make the difference. And then plus you have a lot of Republicans who will not vote for Donald Trump either, and they may sit out too. So I see it working out okay.
Somebody said Kentucky Derby Day, May 4th. Just for the record, Derby Day is always the first Saturday in May. I used to work at the racetrack at Churchill.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yep. I found some old autographs. In fact, I found one that I had Princess Grace of Monaco
Oh,
And,
cool.
when my dog was sick, when my mom died, I got all of the autographs she had, and I left one out, and the dog chewed it up. And I was like, my favorite autograph.
Oh.
I had just the ends are chewed.
Mm. Michelle says that the Project 2025, the manifesto of what the Heritage Foundation and Republicans are going to turn us into an authoritarian country. We will never be the same. Very Handmaid's Tale too. Yeah, and I don't see that
I don't
at
see it.
all.
I don't see it at all.
All right. Excuse me. Let's see if I have one more start. Let's end it on Stacey Abrams. What about Stacey Abrams? Will she continue to help Dems and not run for any office?
I hear a yes to that.
I almost wonder if she works in the DNC or she's going to get a job with helping the campaign and get people registered to vote. I feel.
That's what I see.
Hmm. I do feel like cabinet stuff too. I don't know about governor, but I think she still has a pretty big political career ahead of her.
Can I just share this? This is a riot. We
Of
might
course.
have to go up, right? This one just fries me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at these and I'm listening to you, but I'm reading some of
That's all right.
the comments.
What do you
This
want to pull up?
fried me. Lisa Sather. This is good. Trump said he can't testify because of the gag order. That's when he looked at his lawyer for verification when the lawyer shrugged his shoulders. He's going to use, well, I can't testify. I'm under a gag order. Hello, you're in court. You're on a witness stand. Yeah, you can. Just got to answer the question.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. That topped the list of my BS meter. I'm laughing really hard.
Well, anything to be a victim and act like the government's all out to get him and taking away his rights and everything. The thing is that his base is stupid enough to believe it.
I really wish they'd put him on the stand and let him make a fool of himself.
He said he wants to kind of testify. I see his lawyers not allowing that at all. They're like, no, absolutely not. So he'll just say that he was told he can't testify as a way to not do it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we have like over 1,300 people watching. Thank you all so much for watching us. And please do us a favor. Please hit the thumbs up. Please go to each of our channels and subscribe. It really helps. It's free and it's easy to do. And we appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to add before we wrap up, Mel?
Just, I'm really excited about our Chicago event.
Yeah.
Kevin's going to be there. And I got the lanyard today. It said Sacred Chicago Connections 2024. The lanyards came in, so I'm excited about that.
I'm excited
if you're interested, call my office 847-590-5411 or email me www.meldoer.com.
Mm-hmm. And we're over halfway sold out for it too. So if it's something that you're interested in, definitely reach out sooner rather than later, because I feel like we're going to sell it out very quickly.
So do I.
Mm-hmm. I was telling Mel before we went live, we're not going to be on next Thursday, but we'll be on Mel's channel the following Thursday. I have my Holy Fire Karuna Reiki Masterclass next weekend, so I'm going to get ready for that. But I'm sure come that following Thursday, there's going to be so much going on, so much to talk about and read about. We'll have a lot of good stuff coming out.
A lot of good stuff. I think you're going to do really well with your Reiki stuff, your fire Reiki.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
And everybody go to Kevin for a reading. He's excellent. And also for Reiki, he's also excellent at that. So
thanks, Mel.
Talked me off ledges when I was going through cancer.
Absolutely. That's what friends are for, right?
And I love this because we become really good friends. We've never met face to face, but we've become really good friends. So
yeah. Well, we have Chicago, and you have some in-laws that aren't too far from me too. So
there you go.
Yeah, we'll be meeting soon. I'm looking forward to it.
One of these days we'll all meet.
Mm-hmm. So if you would like a session with me, go to my website, kevinslovingvibrations.com. Info's in the description box. And how do people get a hold of you for a reading, Mel?
They can call my office, 847-590-5411, or email me, www.meldoor.com.
All right. Well, everyone, we're going to sign off for tonight, but sending you all a lot of love, a lot of blessings. keep the faith, breathe. We're going to get through this. It's all going to be great. I know it's kind of scary, everything going on, but just don't allow it to bring you down. Use it to get people out and motivated to vote, and just, you know, keep the peace. We're going to get through it, and it's all going to be great once we get through all the crap
We've
leading
got
up to the
we've got
election.
no choice. We have to get
Mhm. All right, everyone. You all take care and have a great evening.
through. Yay.
Bye, everyone.